Good Monday morning. I am your host of Motivational Mondays, Genevieve Jones-Wright, founder and lead empower mentor of Motivation.In.Action. And I am thrilled to present the story of a very, very inspiring gentleman who goes by the name of Herman Atkins, but as he likes to call himself, and as I love to call him, God's number one hype man. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege being here, especially when I get a chance to tell my story.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And the reason why I want to tell your story, or at least parts of your story, is because it's going to help a lot of people. And it's going to bring to light maybe an issue that a lot of people are not familiar with.
Okay.
So October is home to Wrongful Conviction Day.
Yes.
And what does that mean to you personally?
It's an acknowledgement. That's what it means. Acknowledgement of individuals who have been victimized by the justice system. It's an acknowledgement that a portion of society is trying to do something about it. It brings about acknowledgement of individuals who have been wrongfully convicted across this nation. We are now a subculture of people. I look forward to going to the conferences and the galas throughout this nation because it gives an opportunity to, meet a individual that have been wrongfully convicted.
And you've been doing a lot on that front to bring attention to this issue of people who are wrongfully convicted, wrongfully incarcerated, wrongfully prosecuted. But you're also doing your part to make sure that they never happen again.
Yes.
And that's the part of your story that I really love.
I've been at this for 22 years. I was I was the 72nd person here in the United States to be exonerated, and that was like 22 years ago. And so I made a name for myself because I dedicated myself to the Innocent Project, its aims and its objectives. I've always been on the front line, but I've recently retired from the Innocent Project to go forth and do what it is that God put in my spirit to do now. And that's to prevent wrongful convictions from happening altogether. He gave me a complete blueprint on how to get it done. And so that's where my focus of attention is now.
Isn't that just amazing how God will do that?
Yes.
He'll put a purpose in your heart,
Yes.
passion, and give you the plan for it.
Yeah, that's it. One of the things I tell people this right here is that I say, listen, when God turns your head, that's when you'll see something. You driving and you... Oh, and it goes, the inspiration goes from there. I also tell people God will start some things and use you as a front man for the battle.
Hello.
Yes.
So God's front man, God's number one hype man.
Yes.
Who is Herman Atkins?
Herman Atkins have traveled a long ways and still got a lot to go. I guess I would say I'm a traveling man. Steady learning, steady picking up, steady dropping off. Herman Atkins is an intelligent man. He's a well-educated man here on American soil. He's a grandfather. He's a father. He's a coach. He's about to become one of the America's high-powered attorneys. Most important, I am a man of God. Finally. I wasn't always this way. And as a youth, I had problems, not problems like going to jail or anything like that. But I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. And so I was exposed to certain things. And it bent me. And it bent me in such a way that it made me hard in life. And so now I stand as a man. Instead of on my knees, I refuse to live in America another day not being a man. So that's who Herman Atkins is. A man tried, tested, and proven to be true. I stand with integrity, virtue, discipline, self-awareness, and intellect. And with that, I use those to guide me in life, or what remaining part of my life. I'm in my second half of my life, and now I'm just going to make a name for myself in such a way. I'm going to put Herman Atkins Sr. on everything I touch, every place I go. So that's who Herman Atkins is.
Thank you for that. Now, you were a young man when you got caught up in the criminal legal system. And as I will take the liberty to say, when you were railroaded by human actors in the criminal legal system, right? I don't want to speak in passive voice where we talk about a system that does things. These are people within the system who intentionally conspired against you to wrongfully prosecute and then convict you. So you were a young person. Can you just tell us a little bit about that story and how your case began?
The whole situation transpired back in like 1985, 86, up in there, where I was a victim of a robbery. And the person that robbed us, he shot at police officers. And then they come and just tore the whole community up, the neighborhood, looking for this person. And so the individual that was in the neighborhood, they told the police, well, Herman was involved in that incident and the guy robbed him. And so they said, well, where's Herman at? And so now they're looking for me. There's a warrant poster for my to be questioned in this incident. That's where it all started at.
You were a victim.
I was a victim of it, yeah. That later came out in a civil trial. That later came out in a civil trial that the police, even in that incident, was seeking to frame me then because I wouldn't tell on who was the person. When they caught up with me, who is this person right here? I don't know. I knew who he was. I was going to do some street justice on his ass, but I knew who he was. But that started it all. And while they so busy looking for me, here's a white woman in Lake Elsinore, California, which is in the county of Riverside. She's using drugs and what have you, and she robbed the damn shoe store that she worked at. So what's the best alibi you can have? They takes her and get a rape kit, performed a rape kit, takes her to the police station, and just so happened this wanted poster is laying on the table in the very room that she was placed in. The police come and question her. This is the guy that did it right here. I live an hour away. And so now I'm being framed for a crime I didn't commit by a police officer by the name of Danny Miller, a prosecutor by the name of Richard Bentley, and a serologist by the name of Danny Hall. Now, the woman in the case, she had robbed the shoe store herself, called up the drug dealer that she was getting her stuff from, gives him the money out of the cash register, plus has sex with him inside the store and then yelled rape. Now, she did have sex because there was semen on her shirt or what have you, and it was discarded. The best thing that happened since the invention of paper napkins is that woman told them police where that semen was. Other than that, she could have easily took that and threw it away or what have you. But she didn't count on the invention of DNA testing. Now, once that transpired, she pointed me out. I went to trial. It took about 3 weeks. And then going to trial, I was found guilty by 12 people. Only 2 people in the juror box was black. Everybody else was white. So I wound up getting found guilty. I got sentenced to 47 years and 8 months. I went to prison at the age of, I had just turned 20. And in the process, I was sent to California's most notorious prisons. I'd never been to prison before. I had never been in youth authority. I had never been to juvenile hall. None of that. And so now you throwing me into an environment where I was forced to make a decision. In order to survive in prison, I had to block out the outside world. And I made myself a promise. 3 promises. I would protect my life, I would protect my manhood, and I would protect my state of mind. And I went through 14 years doing that before I was released by way of DNA testing.
How did that harden you as a person going into the prison system at such a young age and having those commitments that you made to yourself to protect your mental state, to protect your manhood, and to protect your life?
Well, it hardened me in a sense because you have to understand, when I was raised to believe my father was a highway patrol officer. So I was raised to believe America has the best justice system. And in that time, I realized everything that my father ever told me about the justice system was a damn lie from the pit of hell and not the devil mouth himself. And I went through there, and I was in prison with a bunch of individuals that the worst of society had to offer. They put them right there in prison, and they threw me in there in the midst of them. They created a monster. It's as simple as that. It was in that time where I did some unfavorable things to survive. I don't have any knife wounds in my body or any of that because I was always the one that willing to do the sticking first. We didn't indulge in no drugs, homosexuality, none of that. No politics or anything. It was just a bunch of a generation of us came in at a young age, and you either survive or die. I chose to survive, and that hardened me. It hardened me in the sense of what really hardened me is when I had to separate myself physically. I was already separated physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I had to let that go outside my family. I mean, I went crazy for about 3 years. It was so bad that they put me in another facility where they could watch me. They said, "We putting you over here because you are a management problem. In other words, you in prison and you still acting up. I'm acting up because I didn't do what you said I did." And so that became a major issue. And I wound up doing a 16-month SHU program for, I took a battery and put it in a sock, and they wouldn't feed me that morning. And I got to banging, and it hit the window of the door out, and the police was walking past. And so now I got an escape and assault on COs while I was in there. That's just a number of things. I had 3 attempts made on my life as a result of being labeled a rapist. These are the things that just made me hard. I mean, super hard. Like, I will admit to this. I've never sought therapy since I've been home. I will admit to need of counseling, but it all worked out for me. Those are the things that made me hard.
Yeah, and you lost your father while you were incarcerated. And I know that has to be tough. And these are the things that people don't think about when we talk about the cost for when we wrongfully convict and incarcerate people, is that they're not just losing time, they're losing time with loved ones. They're missing out on years that they can never get back. So I don't know if you want to touch on that.
The bottom line is, when it comes down to anybody being wrongfully convicted and you are incarcerated, there's so much loss as an individual, but you don't understand the effects of loss from brothers and sisters, mother, father, and when you lose, they lose. And so when I came home, like, I've seen this happen too many times. When I came home, everybody's estranged. It's like they looking at me and trying to figure out, well, why is he like this, and why is he like this, and why is he like that? And I'm looking at them like, when did y'all become like this, and when did y'all become like that, and what have you? Even today, I'm gonna show you something how it affects me. It's easy for me to live far away from my brothers and sisters because I was conditioned that way when I was younger. So when I came home, I pursued an education, and I had to go abroad to get my education. So it was easy for me to travel and stay away. Hey, how y'all doing? We fine. This and Herman, how you doing? I'm fine. Even to this very day, I live 2 hours away from my siblings. I'll call them and talk to them. I can care if I see them or I don't. I love them, don't get me wrong, but that's the effects of the loss that comes about. I think another issue is when you lose a parent, you're not thinking of stuff like that. While I was incarcerated, a lot of my cousins, people that I was tight with, they all died. And so I'll never see them again. When I came home, all I see is their kids. And they kids know of me. They're like, well, you're the uncle we heard about, but we never seen. Like, okay, you're the cousin we never seen. And then when I come out, hey, me and your father, we was real tight. This is what I have to tell them. And then I'm looking at the kids and like, wow, where did it go wrong at? Where did this happen at? I think for the big thing is my sister Gina. Her example is, I'm gonna use her as an example. We were doing a documentary called After Innocence, and I was traveling the nation promoting it, and it finally got here to California. My whole family went and saw that documentary, and I remember my sister is literally sitting in back of me. So they get to my segment, and then they start doing a dramatization of the incident or what have you. And then my sister, it triggered. I mean, like, that bitch, loud in the audience, that bitch fucked my family up. And now I'm thinking, oh, wow, here it comes. And she just out, but I mean, just, I said, oh, Gina, come on. I had to get her and escort her out of the theater. And I couldn't do nothing but just lean against the wall and let her vent. And, she really, I wish when I was going through the civil trial, I wish the jurors could have heard that. So that's the type of stuff that that comes with the loss. Everybody needs therapy. Tell you that now. Everybody needs therapy. It's no amount of money that you can give anybody. Days that's missing, what have you. There's nothing that they could have given me or could give me to this very day to replace things like my mother. When I came home, my mother died the first year I came home. When I came home, I didn't even know she had cancer. It's like I stepped out of one fight and into another. But the victory came when I stepped out, but then the loss came again when my mother never gave anybody her thoughts and her feelings about what happened to her son. And that's what irritates me the most to this very day. Everybody had an opportunity to speak about what they thought about what had happened, what have you. Now, my mother wasn't even given that chance. She wasn't even given that chance. If I had to tell anybody today, I had to want to talk to somebody today, I'll tell Richard Bentley, I'll tell Danny Miller, and I'll tell her name is Karen Schneider or Hernandez or what have you. I'll tell them all. I want your mama dead. If she's still alive, I pray that God take her so you'll understand the damage that you done caused. The word said, I'm big on God's word. And they said, well, you got to forgive and this, that, and other. I do. God will handle the rest of that as far as the forgiveness part. But it's still, God is a God of judgment as well. And if you think that you're going to do what you did to a child of God and get away with it, you're wrong. And so now I can stand up and look at the same very individuals that wrongfully convicted me, wrongfully prosecuted me, that got on the witness stands and lied. I can look at all of these individuals and openly express myself now and tell them right what I'm thinking. But I've never had a chance to talk to any of these individuals because they're too busy running.
I want to thank you for that because it's raw, it's real. You're being transparent and you're being vulnerable, and it's really letting people who are listening in on our conversations see the real life aftermath, the real life calamities. And so I really do appreciate you acknowledging that you didn't have therapy, that you need therapy, and everybody in your family does because they're impacted by this as well.
Yes.
But one thing that I want to commend you on is you do keep a positive mindset.
Oh, yeah.
And you wake up every single day and you know that you're going to make change and you're going to be used to make change. So I want to get into that as well.
Okay. I look at life as an opportunity to live. See, it's not until you wake up every morning and you look to, depending on what side of your bed is in the cell, you look over to your right and all you see is the same scenery, which is a locker and what have you. Like, it got to be more to life than this. And when I came home, I deemed life now as an opportunity to live. I seize it every morning. Now, I may be mad about how I go about doing it, or it might not be the right way of going, but it's not legal. Not illegal as well. But nevertheless, I deem it as an opportunity. And so I take it like that every day. I got a goal. My ultimate goal is to become a judge. That's my ultimate goal. And my task is get my law degree. That's first and foremost. And the reason why I want the law degree is to make sure that what has happened to me don't happen to not another black male, not on my watch it won't. I got 3 sons. I'll be damned if anything happened to my sons from this justice system. I got a grandson. I'll be damned if anything happened to him, not while I'm alive. Now, as long as they don't do anything illegal to get themselves in a situation, that's fine. As long as they don't do that, that we in the game. But you come at them in any other way in which I suspect that there's foul play, and I'm coming down on you like the hammer of God with all my resources, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and most importantly, my God.
So I'm looking forward to you being a judge, remedying some of the things that we're saying. But I also want people to know they can also look forward to not just you being on the bench and serving the people on the bench, but you're coming out with a book.
Oh yeah. The book would be by the end of the year, it would be out. It's called Wrongfully Convicted, Rightfully Committed. Therein, it addressed three things. It tells what my life was like before I went to prison, what it was like and what caused me to go to prison, and what's the game plan when I came home from prison. It's a very interesting book. And what makes it more interesting is the fact that the person that helped me write the book, he gave life to the words that, I had to say. And then when I read the book, I advise anybody, when you read it, get you some tissue, because it's most definitely going to make you cry. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. It's even now I'm thinking about my grandmother. I told him about a story, a portion in the book about my grandmother, and much of the things that I do is because of my grandmother. See, when I came home, I stayed with my grandmother for 5 years. I literally slept in the bed next to my grandmother for 5 years. I would get up and eat breakfast with her for 5 years. And in that time, she poured into me. Herman, this is what you must do. Herman, this is why you must do it. Herman, don't you ever let nobody see that they got the best of you. Herman, listen to me. A lie or die, a truth will always live on. That's how you got out of prison. He said, you keep pushing the line on that. And so I did. And in that time, with her wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, I went on to got not one, but 2 degrees in the field of psychology, child development, one in human behavior. I minored in communications, and I'm about to wrap law school up. And so it's all because of what my grandmother said. She was the one that really pushed the line on it with her wisdom, knowledge, and understanding.
So what would you leave the audience with today as they start their week?
Okay. That's a good question. See, I'm political, but not in the sense like everybody is fanatic with it or what have you. I've been watching something practically my whole life long, and that has been the abuse of black males here in America. And I've often wondered, what will it take for America to wake up from not a racial standpoint, but from a humanitarian standpoint? What is it going to take? Because you have racist whites in America that they just outright racist, but the deadliest people are the ones that pretend that it don't exist. Well, now something has just happened in American soil where 8 police officers shot an individual while he was running, where 8 shot him over 60 times. They got the video footage to prove it. Now America has to face this. If you're going to pretend that America is not racist, God is going to get involved and handle all of that, because he said he would. What I leave is this. America, get back to being a humanitarians. God didn't create race. He created humanity, and humanity created race. Now humanity is in trouble with God, and that means all of us, all nationalities. Get back to being humanitarians. Look out for one another. Protect one another. It's an evil that's up on the face of this earth, and if we're not aware of it and where it's at, then we're going to become a victim of it. And right now, the justice system is an evil force. The law enforcement is an evil force, and we need to be looking at these individuals and come down on them by way of law, passing laws, getting things that's put in motion to the point where it's protecting all citizens. Every citizen, not just one group of people. And so I leave you on that note. And I thank you for giving me that opportunity to express.
Absolutely. Thank you for those impactful remarks, because that's what we need to hear. And that's what we are called to do, is to be humane towards each other, to love one another, to be compassionate towards one another. And it's not about race. It's not about skin color. It's about us.
Us. As humans.
As humans. Humans first. We're all humans first, right?
Yes, yeah.
So thank you so much for coming. to share parts of your story. I know there's so much more
Yes.
that you can share, but I can't wait to read your book.
Yes.
And everybody, we're going to read his book, aren't we? Because we know that it's going to not just be impactful, but it's also going to be inspiring. And I know it's going to be a book that we will not be able to put down.
Oh, I guarantee you. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that.
But thank you again for coming to talk with us, especially about Wrongful Conviction Day and shedding light on what a lot of people are suffering through, that a lot of people may not know about. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's Motivational Mondays. I'm going to see you next week, same time, same place, right here, with more inspiration to help you jumpstart your week. Now, if you found this week's conversation inspirational or motivational in any way, maybe you got a gem to carry with you throughout the day or the week, please feel free to like, comment, and share. Because remember, everyone can use some motivation. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll see you next week.